Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I am so freaking excited for our guest today. So Shannon and I met 3 years ago. We had a 45-minute phone conversation. She was like, I don't do podcasts, my partner does. And here she is. So
I came out of the woodwork.
What a difference a couple of years makes. So she is the queen of organic marketing. Her brain is amazing. I need to pick it one of these days. But anyway, so without further ado, let's meet Shannon. Hey!
Yay!
Hey! I remember that very first conversation. I said, you should be on my podcast. It was like when it was brand new and you were like, no, I shouldn't. That should be Amy.
Oh, well, let's just start there. So first of all, hello, everyone. My name everywhere online is Shannon Hernandez, but you can call me Shannon. There is a reason the M is in front of the name, and I'll get there in a moment because it makes like a really great story. And Iris is exactly right. We talked a few years ago and she's like, you should be on my podcast. I was like, no, I shouldn't. It was a time when my nervous system was not regulated, which we're going to talk about today, how I navigate the world with a nearly $1 million business as a neurodivergent business owner. But the way that this ties into the topic is I had overextended my nervous system so many times that I was trying to find my way between strategies that worked, a new diagnosis with ADHD. My spouse we were just a couple years into her transition to a woman. So I just had a lot of stuff going on, and I literally doubled down and took care of myself. And now I put myself on a podcast tour. And Iris, you will be happy to know we are recording March 5th. I think I've done 15 podcasts already this year.
Holy crap. I just realized my mic wasn't here. Now you can hear me. Okay. Wow. That's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah. So yay for healed nervous systems.
Yes. Yay for, well, and it's funny because when we're, Kofi, for 2 years before I decided to do it, was like, you should do a podcast. And I was like, no, I shouldn't. And then, when I found out after my long-term COVID, when I found out that it didn't kill me when I didn't know it was supposed to kill me, and that I was going to live, which was like a crazy story, I called him up and I said, okay, let's do the podcast. And he said, great. And I said, no, you and I should do a podcast. Like you and I, especially now with the political climate, I think it would be amazing. And he was like, nope, I'm going to produce it and you're going to do it. And I was like, I can't do this by myself. Are you crazy? I was like, I can't do this by myself. And then I think after about a week, after my panic, settled down, he talked me into it. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And Elaine Williams was my first guest. And we had so much fun and it was just so natural. It was like, oh shit, yeah, I could do this. And then, here we are 2.5 years later. So.
Yeah. Well, congrats on taking the step.
Thank you. I think we're like 105 episodes now. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but
and I think I saw somewhere recently you've won an award or two for your podcast.
No, not for the podcast. So the award that I won was for local. And actually, by the time this airs, because I'll be receiving it tomorrow night, March 6th, but this will air in like April. So I will have had the award and it'll be on my little shelf back there. But no, I won for Woman of Distinction for my philanthropy and entrepreneurship in Lafayette. So it's a great honor. I'm going to get a little verklempt. I just wrote my acceptance speech, and those are hard.
Well, listen, you've got like the proud emotions, the oh my God, I did this, and then you're supposed to stand up there and like give this to people. Like
I know it's
a lot of you, Iris.
Thank you. But it's cool. So let's talk about your story a little before we get into all the meat. But
Yeah. Okay. So first thing I want everyone to know, because I said I'd come back to it, is why is the M in front of my name? It's the most asked question ever. Ever in all the years of my brilliant marketing strategies and brain, people just have to know about this damn M in front of my name. So my parents named me Mary Shannon Hernandez, Mary after a grandmother, very Catholic. Well, I got Hernandez. My name was Mary Shannon and then my maiden name. And they never called me Mary. They just wanted to honor my grandmother, who was Mary Gertrude. And boy, was I happy they did not choose. But anyway, I had identity crisis. So this is for all of you parents that think it's cool to call your kid by a middle name. It really is not.
It's not, yeah.
The teachers call us the wrong name and it's embarrassing because it only prints the first. And then we go to get driver's license and stuff. And at some places it was Mary S. and some it was M. Shannon. I was like trying to figure out who the hell I was.
Wow.
At one time, Social Security, they sent me a letter. I was in my 20s and they're like, your name is on file 4 different ways. I'm like, blame it on my parents. So from that point forward, I took M. Shannon. And when I got married, Hernandez. And I just decided to systematize it all. And I was a public school teacher before starting this business 13 years ago. And I decided as an author and a budding entrepreneur that years ago I would Google my name. So I Googled Shannon Hernandez. And what I found was lots of women in prison in orange jumpsuits. And I was like,
sorry.
Okay, I don't want to be mixed up with any of them. So I put that M in front of my, and there you have it. There is no other special reason except that.
That is amazing. Other than you did not want to be identified with women in orange jumpsuits. I love that. Oh. That is like the best story ever.
Right?
That's amazing. So of course, my dog, like the second I start doing a podcast or a meeting, starts going crazy to an invisible, there's a bird outside. Anyway, so you may hear barking in a minute. So first off, I love that because I thought that originally it was because of Maria. I was like, did you do it because of Maria? But, and my middle name is Susan, right? I hated Iris. When I was growing up, I hated the name Iris because nobody else had it. Everybody else had Susan. Nobody had Iris. And I remember when I finally embraced it, I was doing a show in Manhattan, and it was like 1982 or whatever. Like the fact that I remember this is a miracle. But I was doing a show, and the bartender who was like the manager said, "How do you want us to introduce you?" And I said, my sister-in-law's name was Susan Goldfeder, so I couldn't do Susan Goldfeder. So I was like, I don't know, just call me whatever you want. And she goes, well, what's wrong with Iris? And I was like, I don't know. I always hated it, but I'm like, tonight, I'm not hating it. It could be the alcohol. It could be whatever, but I don't hate it tonight. And like, from that minute on, it was true. And from that, it was the 80s. I mean, come on.
Wait, I'm trying to do the math here. Hold on. In 1982, are you talking about 2?
Yeah, I'll be 65 in May.
Hold on. In 1982, I can never do math. I make a lot of money and still can't do math. 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. I was 5 years old in 1982.
I'm happy for you. Thank you.
I'm going to be 48 this year, April 7th, and I'm super excited about it.
Ooh, that is awesome.
Mainly because in my 40s, am I allowed to cuss on this show?
Are you kidding? It's my show.
Okay. In my 40s, I was just like, fuck it. All shits are not given anymore. And I am going to just live life my fullest.
This is I should send you one of these. I should send all my guests one of these.
Fuck it bucket? What is that?
It says fucks to give. And so it's a little jar. And whenever I don't have any left, I just empty them all. But, depending on the day, I'll take a few out and I'll throw them around, with my crystals on my desk.
Okay. I am going to tell you right now, as somebody who loves a great marketing journey for pre-clients, before they become clients, every one of your clients and whoever else you want to wow, you need to send them no fucks to give jar. You will be memorable forever.
I should do that. But so I have like a couple of clients that don't curse. So
that would be even funnier.
It would be. I could send them something else though. So you, gosh, I remember like when we first started talking, and when I first started learning about who you were and what you did and how you did it. My first, phone call with Amy. You guys do things in a different way, and now it's even more different than when we spoke. Like it's like this whole, joyful business thing, and a lot of people that are entrepreneurs don't find it very joyful. I do. I love what I do. Actually, in my speech for tomorrow, one of the things is that I get to do this. Like a lot of people are like, oh my God, I have to do this. And I'm like, I get to do this. This is like the best thing ever, right? That we're in this position that we get to help these businesses grow. Like what better privilege, right? So I love that. So anyway, enough about me. Tell us about your story, like how you became an entrepreneur. And then we'll talk about the other, because I think that story in itself is pretty cool.
Okay. Cool. So I was a school teacher for 15 years. Love teaching. You can take me out of the classroom, but I'm still going to teach y'all. So grab a pen and paper. I'll drop gold gems all day long. I was a school teacher. I taught primarily 8th grade. And my last 5 years, I actually packed myself up and moved to New York City to teach in Spanish Harlem. And one of the hardest places to teach in the world, right? Literally one of the hardest places. And I chose to be there. And it was the most rewarding years of my career, some of the hardest as well. But I was ready for a challenge. And so that was the choice that I made. So here I am teaching beautiful 8th grade hormonal children who, let's be honest, they're about 30 in lived experience years because they have to deal with a lot more than most of us have ever had to think about. And it was really where when I look back now, it was where I learned to tell really good stories and where I learned to captivate an audience. And really it was survival, because if I didn't captivate them and they were staring, I had 40 kids for 90 minutes a day, many times in a row, I just left there bedraggled. Like I had to be an entertainer at the front of the room. And mind you, I was teaching reading and writing. They didn't give two shits about any of that. And so what I learned that I brought over to my business was the power to tell story, the power to create amazing, engaging content and curriculum, which is really what I'm known for in our business programs, right? And then that translated into how do I create marketing that captures the hearts and minds of the people reading or listening to the podcast or whatever it is. So story, y'all. That's what you're going to hear over and over again. But I stepped out of that teaching career and I brought it over here. And, our business is Joyful Business Revolution. I started like everyone else. So one person with a computer, not knowing what the hell I was actually doing. I hired a coach. I hired a virtual assistant and I hired a website person because right out of the gate, I was like, if I have a business, this business needs to go. I am leaving a career behind. I am leaving everything that I've ever known. And I know I can't wear all the hats and do all the things. And the business has had many iterations, over the last few years, over the last 13 years. But we are now known as Joyful Business Revolution. And we have a mantra. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
That's right.
Which I drop from every stage and every podcast I appear on. Because listen, we all got into business because we were leaving something else that clearly wasn't probably joyful. Right? Like I love teaching. While I love to teach, it was the system and the politics and all the crazy shit that I had to deal with. All I wanted to do is close my door and teach people. right? And so anytime that I fall back into something in my business that is not joyful, I repeat it to myself. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit. And we have a rally cry across the world to help people understand you don't have to do these things that aren't joyful in your business, or we can tweak them to make them more joyful, or let's just delegate or eliminate shit and like get it streamlined and get it working. And that's what we're known for at the end of the day.
Nice. That's awesome. And it does need to be joyful. I mean, like I said, I have a list up here that on the days that I'm like, ugh, and it literally says, I love that I get to help people. I love that I help businesses grow. I love that I get to meet new, because when you change the narrative and you change the perspective, it changes everything. I remember before I did this, like 2 years ago, so that's been up there for 2 years. I had you just have those days where you wake up and you just don't want to do anything. And I had like 5 meetings and I was like, oh my God, I have to do these 5 meetings. I'd rather like, just, I don't know, stick a hot poker in my eye or something. Right. And then as I was in the shower, I started thinking about it and I was like, wait a minute, how lucky am I that I have 5 meetings with 5 prospective clients?
Yes.
I'm pretty damn lucky. And I get to meet with them. And like in the shower, my perspective changed. And then I had mindfulness that morning, like right in between the clients. And we wrote this down. She's like, what do you love? Like, what do you want to get to do? Let's change that perspective. And ever since then, that's how I kind of, that's how I look at it. So it's my own type of joy, right? It's like, I get to do these things. So I love it. So what advice would you have for somebody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
That's like, there's a lot there, right? That I've learned.
100%.
Well, the advice I always give, which I always get pushback. So if you're going to push it back, I'm ready for it. McDonald's, if we opened a McDonald's or we opened a hair salon, we would need to pay for a lot of stuff. We would have to have water. We would have to have electricity, all the shampoo product or the French fries, all the people. If I can get anyone to understand anything, the reason I have had the success that I have is because I knew from the get-go, just like I said in the opening of the show, I was not going to do this alone. And I wanted to fast track my success. Did I have all the money in the world? Hell no. I had been teaching for 15 years and only making $70K living in New York City. That did not go far, right? But what I did during the first 2 years of this business, so I could pay a VA for a little bit of time to do all the stuff I didn't know how to do, and a business coach because I certainly didn't know what the hell I was doing in business. I worked part-time as a professor at Brooklyn College. I taught 2 classes a semester. I brought home about $800 a month, and that covered my expenses so that I could get up and running faster. And that's really what I want to say is work with somebody, get your little team formed. They probably won't be with you forever because we outgrow our team and people move on, but get that little team formed that can help you fast get up and running, because you also need to be doing the marketing and sales.
Yeah.
Advice.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think there's, there's a lot of doors into the same room, right? And so people, that's like one of my favorite questions that I ask on here, is because the answers are so varied. They're just like so different. Some are similar, but some are just like so different. But I think at the end of the day, it's like if you can hold out and, just hang in with what you're doing a little longer and put that little money aside so that, you can get a coach and you can do that. I agree 100%, because if I would have had a coach my first year of doing this, it'd be a whole different story. So, cool. Thank you for that. So I know that one of the things that we were talking about was harnessing the neurodivergent strengths in business. And what's funny about this is I think like my last 3 guests have spoken about neurodivergence. You would think I could say it by now. I still can't say it. And the funny thing, so I also have ADHD. I was formally diagnosed, and I took the medication, and I couldn't take the it literally made me a zombie. And I know that it's supposed to and there's different things, and I'm sure I could have gotten it tweaked, but it freaked me out so bad because it literally almost stopped me. Like my brain and everything was and my talking was slow, like everything. And I was like, I can't be on this thing. And I know that, different people handle it differently, but I think that, like you have embracing cognitive differences to fuel innovation, efficiency, and profitability. How is embracing your own neurodivergence shape the way that you approach business strategy and decision making?
Well, this is an interesting thing to talk about because I don't know. You're older than me. We've already established that. So you probably went through menopause way before I did.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, well, what happened with me, and I didn't know it at the time, right? But I literally 2 years ago, I woke up one day and I thought I was going nuts. It came so fast. And what it felt like and what it looked like was, and I've never been one to be depressed, but it felt like how I hear people say they're depressed. I would have a little energy till about 10 a.m., from about 6 to 10 a.m., and then I'd crash. I'd go lay in my bed and I'd sob. And then I'm like, how can I run a business like this? This went on for months and months like this. And I didn't know if my body was finally processing like my spouse's transition, because I had been in fight or flight mode for so long, trying to figure that out. That was my first thing of what I thought, like, okay, wow, I'm finally coming down from like fight or flight mode. And now, but anyway, it was no way to live. And I remember about four months in of this, and this makes me tear up, but I woke Maria up and I laid on my bed and I just sobbed and I said, I cannot live like this. And I said, I do not want to live anymore if I have to live like this. And she did the smartest thing. She looked at me and she said, we are going to find you a psychiatrist. Because while you haven't said suicide, everything right now is in that. And it makes me cry to think about that because I was never that person, right? Until that day.
Hormones fuck you up. Hormones fuck you up. I mean, they do. Like they're evil little shits. So
evil little shits.
I'm just saying. I remember when I started going through perimenopause, and it was like I had my first hot flash. I remember exactly where I was, and I had a turtleneck on, and I was at work. I was working in an office, and I was like, man, I can't rip my shirt off. This really fucking sucks. So I ran out in the alley in between the two buildings, and I was like, I don't care who could see me. And I ripped my turtleneck off, and I started, going like this and then I got really cold, and then I put it back on, and then I went back to my desk and I started crying. And I was like, what the fuck was that?
Okay. So this happens, right? And then Maria's like, all right, you're going to see a psychiatrist. And anyway, it all hit at one time. And what I knew, yes, my body was like coming off of fight or flight from years of, it was COVID. It was a botched hysterectomy. It was Maria's transition. There was a lot that happened in that time. But also I got this diagnosis of ADHD. And I can tell you on the other side of it, we're coming up on 2 years. One, just knowing, like, it's not like ADHD all of a sudden appeared in my life.
Right.
Clearly, I've had this my entire life and it wasn't addressed. I'm very good at coping, right? But now I think back, and one of the worst memories of my childhood, I remember standing in my mom was getting ready for work, and I was standing in the bathroom. We were practicing that times table in third grade, right? I had mastered the ones, the twos, the threes, the nines and the 12s. I just could not get. Just could not get. And I remember my parents saying, "We have worked on this so long with you. If you don't have this down by the end of the week, you're getting a spanking." And I remember that. And what I now know is I excel in a lot of places, right? But for some reason, those damn 9s and 12s were not sticking. And notice I still counted on math on my fingers, which is fine. Like, I don't care, right? But now I look back and I think, wow, how did I get like all A's and B's in high school and straight A's in college? And it was because I had developed so many coping mechanisms because of instances like that in my household. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get punished, right? And so I just learned along the way how to adapt and be successful. Fast forward to now, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. This all makes sense now. And then I say to Maria sometimes, I'm like, isn't this normal that this is how people would run their business and their marketing? And she's like, no, that is not normal. That is because you have adapted to the world around you as a neurodivergent person.
That's amazing. It's so funny because like 2 years ago, I made two big financial, like I thought I paid somebody. So I paid somebody else and I really didn't pay that person. So I was like, oh my God, it's like almost like $14,000, like a good chunk. And I was like, okay, like where did I make the mistake? And then I started thinking about it and I was like, hey, jackass, the mistake is that you don't have a fucking bookkeeper. Go get a bookkeeper. So that you don't do this because you suck at math. Like I just, right? So I got a bookkeeper, which is like the best thing that I ever did because I don't make those mistakes anymore. But it's like one of those things, I think, that when we realize, especially, I don't know if you're taking medication, for it, but for me not taking the medication, it's like I know that my brain, I think that what makes neurodivergent people the best entrepreneurs is that we see everything all the time. Like we see the entire picture. It's not, we don't just see the one thing, we see everything and all the moving parts. And that's what makes us genius. And that what makes us, be able to do the thing, probably better than a lot, people that aren't. And so, for me, it's like, okay, so where's my zone of genius? It ain't math like you. I'm really good at math, but I'm not good at like maintaining books. So you can give me the times table and I can probably whatever, multiply anything. But when it comes to like who I paid and who I didn't pay, that it's just like gone. And I remember going, okay, so you can see everything, but you can't remember who the hell you paid. So, there's that. But a lot of the people that I know that are neurodivergent that run their businesses, they have like that one thing.
Yeah. But I also want to say the flip side of what you're saying is true. We can see everything. Well, I'll speak for myself. I'm a strategist, so I can see the big so far out, right? Yep. Like I love strategy, but I also have the capability, and so a lot of people don't, to zoom in and stay focused on the one thing that needs to happen to get done.
Yep.
Now, if I'm not careful, this is where my downfall is because I get bored, right? And this is what I want to say is like how many years I screwed up, air quotes, my business because I was so bored that things were working that I just wanted to create new things. And then I like threw the whole thing off. And this is when I learned, okay, and this is what I teach when people come work with us. We're going to develop you a marketing and messaging strategy that's going to do its job over here, and we're going to learn to trust it. And when you get bored, you're not fucking up the business. You're going to go paint or bake bread or hike Kilimanjaro. I don't care. But something over there is going to happen so we don't screw this up. And you're laughing because you know.
It's true. I know. Because it's so easy. I'm the same way. I get like, I'm fortunate in that I have not been bored with this because it's had so many iterations in like 3 years that it's had more iterations in the last 3 years than it did in the entire 10 that I have the business. Right. So it's been interesting. And so, in that, but I get it. It's like, it's almost like this self-sabotage thing where it's like, we have this really great thing and what can we do to fuck it up? No, you're not going to do that. Go bake, go cook, go write a song, go play the freaking piano, whatever it is, right? Do something else because we have this, like, I get it. Like, I just, oh my God, I so get it. And there are probably people out there listening to us going, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you want to do that? But it's not that we want to do that. It's just that that's
how our brain works.
How our brain works, yeah.
So how do you build a business and a marketing strategy, right? A growth strategy that keeps you engaged enough. By the way, I'm going to answer that question. I know I shouldn't answer my own questions, but I'm going to frickin' answer the question. All right. And lets you live your life, which is where the joy part comes in, right? Like, I do love my business, but I also want to do other things. I'm going to hike Kilimanjaro next year. I just came off of hiking the Camino in Spain. Yep. Right. I love to cook. I love to do art with our mutual friend, Nina. We have art dates in New York City. So let's go back and answer the question. How do you build a business and marketing strategy that you won't screw up? Here's my answer. You make sure your messaging and your marketing is so good that your busyness comes from fulfilling client work. So we've just replaced the problem of I've gotten bored. A lot of times we're bored because the offer isn't working or the messaging isn't working or we want to try a new platform or I don't know, now it's time to start a podcast or LinkedIn Live or whatever the hell people do to screw it all up, right? I get your messaging and your marketing working and we learn to trust that and let it go. And then we go play and do hobbies. And where does all your energy come in your business? Well, a successful business, in my opinion, is one where the messaging and the marketing is working. The clients are coming in and now your energy is going into clients, not now generating leads and reworking things over and over again.
Right.
And it's these nuanced things that won't make sense to people who haven't started yet. But those people listening, they're either laughing right now or they're shaking their head or they're like, holy shit, I see myself what I'm doing right now in this problem, right?
100%. Because I think that with entrepreneurs, we're such, we're unemployable, right? So there's that. And, because we're unemployable, it's like this thing has to work. So it's one of those things that, not only, I think when you're an entrepreneur long enough, you're unemployable. Like my wife and I were kind of joking a couple of months ago because it was slow. It was like really slow. And it was like, when does my full Social Security kick in so I can, and it's not for 2 years. And who knows if we'll even fucking have it, but that's another story.
Let's not go there today.
No, we're not going there. Just a teeny bit because I had to, but, because in 2 years, like I would get my Social Security that I paid my entire life into, and then I would be able to also work and it wouldn't matter how much I make. Right. So, it was like, damn, I wish we were there. And then I was like, damn, should I get a job? Cause I get offers on LinkedIn, VP of whatever, and, do this. And I was like, should I get it? Should I get a job? And she looked at me and she's like, you're unemployable. You would get into a position and you would say, we need to do this, this, and this. And they would be like, no, we need to do this way. And you'd be like, fuck you. And then leave, so it's like, and she's probably not wrong at this point. So, But a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've spoken to are like, we're completely unemployable because we've been doing our thing for so long and we know the right way to do it for us.
Yeah.
So I started saying that for a reason. And I think that with all of that, it's like, do we let our own, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say like, hold us back from moving further, but it's like, I feel like the longer we've done it, the more we're working with our clients, right? There does come a time, if you haven't hit that plateau to where you're okay and there's constant leads coming in all the time, that it's gonna dip again.
Absolutely.
Which you don't want it to dip, because then when it dips again, that's when, you get in trouble. So for me, it's like, I try to make sure that my pipeline is consistently full, which, thank you, universe, it is now. It wasn't for a while, and I was like freaking out, because for me, it's like, it's never not full. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is not normal.
But wait, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
We know this is one of the things that, like, so I'm being brought in next week to Denver, to a conference in Denver, to talk about the joy of entrepreneurship to 700. I've been brought in for the keynote of founders and nonprofits. And don't you think, Iris, that we need to normalize all businesses, even successful ones, are going to do this roller coaster thing all the time, right? And would you agree now, however many years in you are, I'm 13, you're 10, I believe. Have you gotten to the point yet where you just trust this is a dip and it's going to come back? Because it sounds like that's your next level of what needs to happen instead of freaking out.
Better at it.
Yeah.
Better
and
at it.
It does get better, right? It does get better.
It always does. And what caused it this time was the election.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting political, but it's true. In an election year, people freak out. They don't know how things are going to go, so they don't know what they should invest in. And one of the things that, my clients that stuck through it know is that, and I'm going to use my tagline, if you're not online, you're not an option. If your competitor is out there and you're not, who are they going to call? And who are they going to remember? They're not going to remember you because you're not doing anything. So, and it's not a scare tactic. It's a fact. I mean, it's just, it's 100%, a fact. And, when I trademarked that, I'm waiting for the trademark to come through this week. I'm like super excited because Nina for like 4 years was like, you need to trademark that. And I was like, I don't know if I can trademark that. So I'm trademarking it. But it's really important that, yes, we remember that it is going to come back, but it's still scary, right? Like when your bank account, if you're not at that point where, okay, you don't have to worry, the bank account's fine. And then all of a sudden the bank account goes from here to whoosh, because you have to pay all this stuff out. It gets a little scary. And so this time for me was better than the last time. I wasn't as scared. I wasn't as stressed. But it, because I was like, okay, it's going to get better. You just got to trust that. No day drinking. I did good. Yeah. So it was all, I don't day drink anyway, but yeah.
And one of the things I have to tell myself, and this might help you or help the listeners, and I tell my clients too, because we are going to have those ups and downs. That is a normal cycle of business. And I think what we've been told by the bros and the guru marketers is that all business growth looks like this diagonal line that just goes up forever. And it's not true.
No.
So one of the things I often say when I'm in this dip or a client is in this dip is, I have enough just for today. And it's that presence. I even saw that wash over you here on video, right? It's that being very present to our anxiety comes from the past and from worry about the future. I have enough just for today. And so I'm going to ask you to take that on the next time you have a little dip. And it really has helped me a lot to be able to be in that place.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Hope you're all writing that nugget down, because I'm gonna. I think that's important, because if we can learn to not worry about the future, because you can't do anything about it. First off, the past is the past. It's done, right? You can't unring the bell. You can't. And you can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And, you're right. All you have is today, and to be in today. And this is how it is today. And tomorrow, I wake up every day. I do a little incantation thing from Kim Woods, but I also say 3 times, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. I believe that something wonderful is going to happen to me today. And by doing that, I set the precedent for the day of looking for that, like waiting for that thing that's wonderful. Instead of like looking for the shit pile that could happen, which is what you do on those days, right? Now, I wake up every day and it's like, okay, what's going to happen today? And some days nothing happens, and it's okay, because I didn't spend the day in dread. Yesterday I signed an amazing client. It was great. Went to lunch. We fought for the bill. I won. And he signed on. He's an amazing guy. It's not anybody there that I ever thought I'd be working with, but just this really awesome guy. And I'm like, okay, this is really freaking cool. So that was, yesterday. Today I woke up healthy, and I'm talking to you. So there's my highlights, and I have band practice. So, so when you look for like those for the good things, I think that has kind of helped my perspective change. And even when I don't feel it, I think, last week something happened and I woke up and I was like, I believe something wonderful is going to happen today. Oh yeah. And I was like, no, come on, you need to feel that, So, but I think
you're like, I'm going to say this, but I am not feeling it.
Yeah. I also wake up every morning after I get out of the shower and look at my full self. And at my age, I look pretty okay for my, for my age. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. You're going to kill it today. And if you don't, there's tomorrow. And there's days that I say, I love you. And I would say 98% of the time, I mean it. And then there's that percent that we all have those shit days, right? And I'll be like, I love you. We're going to kill this. Just suck it up and do the thing, right? And I try to do these little things each morning to kind of complement each other, so that, the day isn't as rough as it could be, because I've had some, rough, I think we've all had rough days. So those are my little secrets on.
I love it. Well, now you can add, I have enough just for today to the lineup.
Yes, I have, which is perfect, because our cup, right, can only handle so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm going to talk about one of the big elephants in the room when it comes to like neurodivergence.
Yep.
Lots of business strategies, as we know, they prioritize structure and consistency.
Yep.
Right. So how do we have these workflows that'll work for us if our brain is like ping-ponging all around the place?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just love to really talk about this, because I'd love to hear what you do. My brain, first of all, thinks that I can do about 100 tasks in 10 minutes when I can really do maybe half of a task.
Half. 50 in 10 minutes.
I've had to like build a structure, and it's simple for me, but it's what works for me. So, I have a piece of paper, looks like this. It's divided into quadrants, and I call it my CEO planning system.
Oh, I like
and
that.
I have learned I'll talk about each quadrant in a minute, but I have learned over the years, this is for 1 week. If the boxes are this size, because if I overflow the box, that shit ain't getting done in the week. So I just had to put some visual constraints, because I really do think that I'm Superwoman and I can do 100 things in 10 minutes. Like that's my superpower. Of course I can, right? So this box, these quadrants, I call this the CEO planning system. The first one I call Millionaire Monday. And Mondays are certain things always happen. I have a coffee date with my business where I ask my business a question, and then I let the business answer, and I journal. And I find fascinating things out that my business actually wants me to know, not what I think I should be doing. I go look at my finances every Monday. And I was just telling my clients today, they're like, why do you still do this? Like, you're making, like nearly $1 million a year in business. I said, I still do this because my brain still tells me every day I'm not making money. So what have I built in for my nervous system? Every Monday, I log into my bank accounts. I say, see, all right, we're getting on with the week, right? I've just learned to work with it instead of like push against it. And by the way, if anyone's listening, this is not a money mindset issue. I have zero problems making money. This is a story that's left over from a childhood of growing up with very little money and an ex-husband that gambled us into debt. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt with bookies after us.
Oh my God.
So please do not tell your clients this is a money mindset issue. It is not. It's a trauma response. Mm-hmm. Right? And how do we control trauma responses? I'm not a psychologist, but I can tell you what I do is every Monday I look at the money and say, whoo, we're good. There's money in there, right? Or I have enough just for today. If I'm in a dip, that's what has to happen. So every Monday, Millionaire Monday, I have a coffee date with my business. I check my finances and I prioritize the 3 people I want to reach out to this week, check in on them, build a little relationship with. And then I do all of my calendaring that maybe I didn't get done the week before. That's it on Mondays, plus content creation. So I have a very joyful Monday because I don't really talk to people on Monday. Honestly, we're being real. Okay. The other 3 boxes on this quadrant, one is sales and follow-ups. Who do I need to follow up with for sales? Now, this is interesting because I don't do sales anymore in this business. My partner in Joy, Amy, does the sales. But there are people that I'm nurturing to see if they want to get on a sales call with Amy, right? So I still have a role. Another box is marketing planning. What do I need to think about that's coming up? And then I have a box called personal matters. This is the shit I hate doing. Like, I need to go to the bank and see if I can order rupees because I'm going to Bali in a couple weeks, right? I need to call the freaking Charles Schwab because I'm locked out of my account. I need to make a doctor's appointment. This is the stuff that would keep slipping off and causing a lot of angst in my world because I was falling behind. So CEO planning system, this is how I've managed to do it, Iris. This is just one tool I wanted to share today.
That's awesome. Thank you. I usually take Fridays. Because for me, it's like the week is done. I know what happened this week. I look at my calendar for the following week, which thank God is, full. And, then I look at, okay, so who am I meeting with next week? And then I make a little list of, what each meeting is about. So this person, it's going to be this person's going to be this. And then Monday morning from usually about 9 to 11 is when I do my personal doctor appointment, stuff like that. Because I can't do that for whatever reason, Fridays, I can't, because then what happens on Fridays is because we can do 100 things at once, right? So I have my little plan, like it's written out, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I get a phone call, squirrel, or, whatever. And I just squirrel out. And then it's like 8:00, she's home, we've eaten. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to, so, and that's something that, each week I'm like, okay, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to work on it. But I like your 4 little squares. I may actually try that.
I'll send you a copy if you want. You can make it your own.
Definitely. It's like, I'm type A in certain things. Like there are certain things that have to be, my kitchen drawer has to be organized. Anything in my kitchen, my cabinet, the silverware drawer, like everything has to be on the side. It's not even OCD, but that's how the forks fit because they kind of go sideways. I have like weird silverware. It's cool, funky stuff. And then, our containers and then all the pots and pans because I love cooking as well. And like everything needs to, but if you looked at my office right now, it's like something freaking, it just threw up on itself. And I clean this every other week. And it's like I clean it.
Wait, do you have the neurodivergent piles so you don't forget, where everything is in its pile?
No, I know where everything is. I know exactly where, so over there are like all of our backpacks because we take different ones when we do different things. And then I have a box of stuff that I have to go through. And then I have a box of different clients' promotional items because we do promotional items as long as a person is already a client. Like I'm not going to do it for people who aren't clients because they're a pain in the ass. And then I have like a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to talk about. And then over here is all like the businessy stuff. So my printer and that, but then I have a pair of heated socks. Why? Because I have rehearsal tonight. I've never done this before.
Okay.
But these are called Gobi Heat, and I should get a freaking sponsorship from them. But and they have a little, they have batteries, and they are the best thing. I have heated socks, a heated hat, a heated jacket, a heated vest, heated gloves. I don't like being cold, so
I guess you're through menopause.
No, well, from my long-term COVID, when my feet get cold, they hurt. So when I go to band practice, it's cold. Like my feet get cold. So I put my heated socks on. Yeah. So this morning, as I was doing everything, I was like, wait, rehearsal tonight. So I plugged in the batteries and I threw the socks on there so I wouldn't forget. Because when we get done here, I'm going to do a couple of things here, throw the socks on, and then get ready to go.
What do you play in the band?
I sing lead.
Oh, nice.
I sing. I also play guitar, but not in this band because we have so many guitar players. I was like, so should I play on some songs? They're like, no, we're good. And I'm like, okay. So I play guitar in my house. But yeah, I sing lead.
Can I share the story that formed in my head when you said heating socks and band practice?
Yes, I can't wait to hear this.
I thought you were going to carry a tuba in a marching band.
No, although that's hilarious. Now that would make sense, right? Because a marching band, you have to be outside. No, this is just band. And his house is gorgeous. I mean, the guy's in I don't even know how much his house costs, but we're downstairs. And so there's like doors, the door that goes out to his pool, the door that whatever. And so the cold air just comes in and hits my feet. So, which is pretty funny.
Wait, I want to go back to piles for a minute. So yes. I want to give everyone listening permission that if you are a neurodivergent, it's a new word.
You're a nerd and a nerdy neurodivergent. So a nergent. There we go.
If you are a neurodivergent person who has object permanence issues and you need piles of stuff, so you know exactly where stuff is, I am normalizing that. Okay. I have, let me tell you what I have in my office. This pile here is stuff from 2024 4 that I thought I would implement in 2020. I haven't touched it yet. All right, it's a pile of papers and ideas. This pile is stuff that I need to file in the file cabinet, and filing is very boring. So this will keep getting stuff put on top of it until one day I just decide I have nothing better to do than open the file cabinet.
Right.
This pile is an email marketing bingo game that I've developed because
awesome.
Everyone knows my marketing love language is email marketing. And so I'm beta testing this bingo game. It's called Email Marketing Bingo. And I'm trying to decide what I want to do with it. And then I've got a new shipment of my books in that needs to go onto the bookshelf. So I have piles, and my wife will say to me, how do you know where everything is? I said, I know exactly where it is. In fact, when I'm on the road on a speaking tour or something, I will call her and I will say, I forgot a piece of paper. She said, 1 piece of paper. I said, yeah, you're going to go in my office. I'm going to tell you exactly where it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what color it is. I'm going to tell you what color the ink is. And I'm going to tell you exactly what pile it's in. And she goes, how in the hell do you know this? I said, I know where my stuff is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
normalizing piles.
I love that. And see, so I have over, there's like a box there. One of my clients is Holidays by Heather. She's a travel agent. And this is I said, tchotchkes that we did. This is a erg, a tag for her, a luggage tag. Why you can't see it? Okay, there we go. And we created the logo. So that make it clear? Anyway, but I have a box of them over there. So tomorrow when I go to I invited her to be at our table for the awards because she's not just a client, she's a friend. And honestly, most of my clients are friends now. They're just not clients. It's, for me, it's like when somebody comes into the gas stove, fold, they're family. It just,
absolutely,
it is, so I said, I'll leave him in my car because I have to get there early to take pictures and, spiel and all that stuff. And just when you get there, let me know and I'll open the thing and, you can take them out. But yeah. But I still have to clean because it is making me a little nuts when I just try to not look at that, look here. So what do you think your differentiator is?
I hate this. This is such a marketing question.
It is, but it's not because
hey, I have the answer. Joy.
Okay.
Joy. Now, I will expand on it because I know that's
Thank
a baby.
you, because I was going to say, but go ahead.
I saw your face. I saw it. Here's the thing. My differentiator, honestly, are we talking about an author? Are we talking about a speaker? That's why I don't like that question. Are we talking about somebody who does marketing? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about the best wife in Hoboken or what?
I think for your marketing, because I know what it is. Okay. But for people listening who don't know who M. Shannon is, right? And if they look you up on LinkedIn, because then I'm going to ask you soon, where do people find you? But, why would they want to use you as opposed to somebody else? So for me, this is like your little moment to be like, okay, you want to use me. I'm different because. So it's not like a marketing spiel. It's just like, putting a little spotlight.
Oh, I love Iris. She's talking me into liking this marketing speak. Okay. I am an email marketing strategist and a messaging strategist. My differentiator is story and getting people to take action with their hearts because people buy with their emotions. I love to teach and train. I simplify everything in marketing so you can double your revenue with 1 email a week.
Bam. See?
Now, what were you going to say?
So for me, I just think that because I know all the different things that you do, I know that when you do your workshops that you have people do art, that you do like different, things. And so for me, you're unique. You do things in a unique way.
Yeah.
So, that's what I think your differentiator is. But I know you. these are people that don't know you. And maybe some people do know you. But for the ones that don't, because I think it's important. There's so much with marketing, right? Like we all market and we all market differently and we all have our own little special sauce. Like I hate saying secret sauce. I was talking to somebody that my secret sauce. I'm like, what are you? That's not secret. It's special. Because secret to me is sneaky. It's like, be special. You don't have to be secret. Anyway, that's my own Michigan.
No, this is good. This is good. I want to actually pause for a moment and I want to rewind. The point that Iris is making is also, I'd say, would be my differentiator. Years ago, we came out with a philosophy of messaging called kind messaging and ethical marketing. The word secret is neither of those. It is a power play. It makes people think you have the secrets and the answers when really, let's be real, you fucking don't. Like, we can all go find your secrets and your answers. But the word secret is just so triggering to me. Like, if you send me any email that says the secret to in a subject line or anywhere in it, I'm unsubscribing from that.
It's done. It's done. I'm 100% like that. I had my copywriter sent me some stuff and they were like, and so here's our secret sauce. And I went, no. And they were just like, I was like, special. Because what we do is special. It's not secret. We're not hiding anything. We're not like uncovering anything that they're never going to find. It's just sneaky to me. So I don't like it. Just like I don't like, going into a business and telling them what's wrong. I tell them what's right? I talked about this last week. It was like, I start working with a business and I look at what they're doing. And the first thing I look at is, what are they doing right? So I can tell them, hey, you're doing a great job here.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, why would you do this? But people do that.
No, but okay. My other we're not saying secret. My other special sauce is I was a former teacher and I can break any complex thing down and teach it to you fast. And that's really my specialty, if you will, my differentiator, right? But Iris, to your point, we learned in teaching school, right? Getting my bachelor's. When you sit down with a parent in a parent-teacher conference, the very first thing you do is start with all the good things.
Of course. You have, yeah. Why wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, little Tommy sucks at this. So, you need to.
Little Tommy is a terror. And he ruins my classroom every day. Now, that did happen, but I didn't start with, I said, Tommy wears the nicest blue backpack and keeps it so organized.
But your son's an asshole. No.
Little shit in the background. But seriously, this stuff matters, right? The messaging matters, the way that we approach things.
Yep.
So get rid of secret in all your copy. It is harming you, seriously.
No, it really is. And for the people that speaks to, that's, to me, is another, that's not somebody I want to work with. It's probably terrible. I mean, it is what it is. So we are over an hour. I knew we were going to do this. So first off, thank you for taking time out of your day. Like, I'm so excited after 2 years. I got you on my podcast. It's like amazing. So where do people find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Shannon Hernandez, or you can find me at my website, joyfulbusinessrevolution.com. We've got a beautiful resources page that's up and shiny. We decided to put all our lead magnets on one page so you can just choose whichever one you want. And we hope you'll visit us and drop me a line on LinkedIn, a message, and let me know you listened to the podcast.
Yay. I love this. Okay, don't go anywhere. Oh, wait, before I leave, last question I ask all my guests is, what lights your fire?
A really good fiction book with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Relaxing.
Cool.
And by the way, I'm giving everyone permission to start reading fiction again, too. Like, if you're in business, you need to give your damn brain a break and, pick up some fiction.
Yeah. You don't have to read old business books and Who Stole My Cheese, although I love Who Moved My Cheese. That's like one of my favorite books. Anyway, so, but hang on, I'm going to say goodbye and I'll be right back. Everybody, again, please like, share, subscribe, review. Let us know what you thought about this episode. If you've gotten any little golden nuggets from this, let us know in the comments. I love to see it. My guests love to see it. Connect with M. Shannon on LinkedIn. Drop her a little note. She's, as you see, a lot of fun. And I appreciate each and every one of you that because of y'all, I get to do this each and every week. So I appreciate you. Love you all. Thank you so much. And until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.